We've been moving like empty closets. Every time we go over there, we empty something over and put it away. Because I looked at the clock and it said 0. That as soon as we said a movie date for snow, and I said to Joe, when they move the furniture in, I want to be able to move the sofa in place, they're in on the sofa and watch it smack. The only, which really bothered me is I'm one of those people who stops stop two houses.
White goods.
Where am I going to be?
You're the reason why there are no white goods in any freaking store.
Yeah.
You think you'd be inside for like 2 months, but white goods are the first to go in.
My guy this morning, Happy New Year. I asked him, I said, "This generator got gas?" And he said, "No." He said, "But it runs." He said, "I ran it last year." I said, "Remind me how long it's going to take to tear this up." 25 years. I said, "I don't need to call you." He said, "No, you really don't."
Well, that's great. You know, because when you're that far away from a property, you might worry about what can go wrong, especially given the cold.
I was a little upset with the cold. You're right. I'll be right back.
I have to reduce the price. So I'm thinking about maybe doing the middle race this Indianapolis. Last, you know, like the space jockeys, space cowboys. I feel
How long
like
does it take?
Hello, ma'am. How are you doing, sir? Nice to see you.
Yeah,
look at that. I'm warm-blooded, huh? How are you doing, Professor? I'm well. Let me guess. Syracuse?
no, I understand, but I got screwed up on the dates because it said the 14th.
Yeah.
And
I gave it 30.
I guess I said 23rd. So
But I have an agenda.
I haven't heard back.
I went up on
That's all right.
on the Della file. It said it was filed on the 14th. Well, I got a little, it says in one box it's filed and the other box it says, so I picked the 14th, that's why that was wrong, and then of course I
Pick a middle date.
Contribution made to construction to our team stipulated that prevail in this question. Yeah, we're still going to go ahead, but I think we can make the motion go forward.
Can you make up the time? I know they you know, got the
Probably have a supplier. We probably have a
Right.
We probably have a supplier for
And they say that means it permanently has to stay in place, and we don't read that way.
And does anybody save the money?
Gut They delayed it for years. Their argument essentially is that if they had been on time, they would have had to pay.
It helps our taxes.
They delayed. Now somehow they get a free ride.
so how much
The state government, no matter how much they make, taxes will go up.
Yeah.
They are arguing about that.
They'll lose on the birthday share. Why can't you guys go to
Yeah, I mean, they're going to lose on the first issue. Then the question is what the number should be.
Oh, you must be Florida, particularly I think somewhere in Europe, where it's 90 degrees, and then
It's a number. The number should.
At least they now have local councils when they started.
when it was 10 degrees one day or 2 days.
They wanted to do the PBS routers. I didn't know that.
What's wrong with you? Busy within the 90-mile ball. We have to go to Well, I think from
feel that
They're part you're requesting them.
Kevin Kelly.
Sergio, we're getting ready to move. We're going to MediaCom instead of Comcast, because that's our server in that area. I may need to invite you to come spend the night and get everything sorted out. Oh, I have fresh off, which is some stage, yeah.
Everything going great? All right, it's coming up.
Tendered the water service agreement between them. I initially.
Is that an indication I've been here too long? I
No,
know.
I'll say happy New Year to you.
He's got warm hands, Brenda. Shake hands with him.
I did already.
I'm sure that Dallas is on the phone. Tell her to, no problem. It'll be a special line item. Not everybody.
Sounds like progress. Brenda, how are you?
Good morning, Jim.
Putting this reed case in the ground finally?
Say again?
Putting this reed case in the ground finally?
At last. It's been I wouldn't say it's been a childbirth, I'd say it's been an elephant birth. Takes longer. That's all right. Inside baseball. Inside baseball.
Yeah.
It's for this side of the room, not for your side of the room.
Now, that agenda came out on the 14th.
Gestation period of an elephant.
Today's
For the Artesian
19th.
order versus some other
Or a humpback
mammal.
whale.
Feliz Dallas right now is in Florida or Texas. He's in Mexico. And he said it's a
Is the chairman
Yeah.
here? Chair here today?
Yeah.
Dallas here today?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know,
No, it should be over.
just roll with it. No.
What's that? 3.
Oh, okay. That's right.
There's Dallas, guys.
Say, it's an opening docket.
Tell him he's got 30 seconds.
Communicate, set certain deadlines, and the publication of notice, and staff supports
Okay.
the order.
We got everybody.
Mike. Jason. No, I'm staff. You are staff.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Public Service Commission meeting of January 19th. The first thing on the agenda are the minutes of January 5th. We have a public session and an executive session. For the public session, are there any questions?
Yes. Regarding the minutes of the regular session, please add, if you would, that Dallas Winslow was attending on the phone, not voting.
I believe it's in the minutes.
It is in the minutes already?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I missed it, thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I missed it.
Okay. Any other questions? We have a motion, please.
I move that the minutes be adopted and submitted.
Second? Is there a
I was
second?
not here, so.
I see.
Okay, yeah, that's right, you weren't here. All right, no questions. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, now we have the minutes of the executive session on January 5th. Any question on those minutes? Can we have a motion to accept those, please?
Motion to accept the executive session minutes of the January meeting.
Can we have a second to that motion, please? Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I forgot to mention that our chairman, Dallas Winslow, is on the telephone, making sure that we do this correctly. Thank you. All right, we have a consent agenda. There are 3 items on the consent agenda. Are there any questions or any reason why any of those should be removed? Okay. May I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented then?
I so move.
I second.
Okay, any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, on the regular agenda, the first item is the matter of the application of Artesian Water Company for a revision of rates. Proposed Order 8816 would memorialize the final findings and opinion of the Commission's decision regarding this docket. We have Carl Randall, we have Dave Spate, Jim Geddes, your DPA, and is William Oliver here from the HOA now? All right. First.
May it please the Commission, Carl Randall of Morris Nichols Arston Tunnel on behalf of the applicant Artesian Water Company Incorporated. I would like to preliminarily note that the Chief Executive Officer of the company, Diane Taylor, is also present today. And present with me at the table is David Spate, the company's Chief Financial Officer. Following the exceptions hearing that the Commission convened, the parties have worked together to prepare an appropriate form of order. We believe that the parties have agreed upon an appropriate form of order, and we would respectfully request that you approve it as submitted.
Thank you very much. Mr. Geddes?
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. I always get that wrong. I'm not sure. But
Just call
anyway,
me
it's close enough. And other commissioners. This is a proposed order for your consideration. As you know, the company filed its application in April 2014, and you deliberated on August 18th, 2015. After that, there was what we referred to as a minute order, order number 8783, dated September 8th, 2015, which memorialized basically the financial issues that were presented to you on the 18th. It set a rate base, a rate of return, and also increase in revenues of $6,030,000. What this order does before you today is memorializes the discussion as well as some of the evidence in the record, so that it constitutes your final order in this proceeding, and it is presented to you for your consideration. Historically, when orders of this type have been presented, sometimes the commissioners have questions about it or have decided that the discussion does not properly represent what they believe their deliberations included. So I would caution you, this is something for you, and hopefully you've reviewed it, and if you do have questions about it, the parties can try to answer them. But comments have been received by the parties to the proposed order, and we are presenting it to you for your consideration today.
Thank you. Mr. Bonar.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. The Public Advocate has reviewed the Order 8816, memorializing the final findings and opinion of the Commission's decision regarding the docket, and we're satisfied with the form of order.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions? What's your pleasure? Okay. Then we'll need a motion, please.
Madam Chair, I move that the Commission adopt order number 8816 as stated.
Second that.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Second item on the agenda is the review of customer choice in the state of Delaware. You have before you a petition of the Electricity Affordability Committee, a staff memo, and proposed order 8845. I believe, Mr. Geddes, you're the number one position on this one.
Yes, ma'am. Members of the commission. This is an order that would open this docket and establish a hearing examiner and public notice in order to consider the petition of the Electricity Affordability Committee that was received on December 14th and made certain recommendations or proposals, if you will, in connection with third-party suppliers. And so this docket would be an initial docket, the order would be an initial order opening up the docket to consider the petition.
Thank you very much. Public Advocate?
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. We have no comment on this at the present time.
All right. Mr. Goodman? Delmarva?
I understand there was a problem with the website or something today. We haven't seen it, and I know that the staff was trying to get it on because they were communicating. So we haven't seen it. I'm not saying it shouldn't be entered today. I just probably should note for the record in case something comes up later, we would let you know. But I don't think it's anyone's fault. I just think it just didn't get on there for whatever technical problems were being experienced. But we haven't seen the order. I'm not objecting to it or anything like that.
I would just comment as someone who was involved in the process of writing the order. The order only refers to the petition. It incorporates the 8 recommendations as part of the order and explaining what the petition was about. And the only real active part of the order is to appoint a hearing examiner to, in essence, establish a public notice and some dates. So I would hope that, and I understand Mr. Goodman's concern, I didn't realize he hadn't received or seen a copy of it. I would hope that the only concern that the company might have may be with some of the dates that are reflected in the order. But since staff is taking the laboring oar and establishing all of this, hopefully they will be comport with the company's schedule.
I expect we'll be fine with it. I know your staff. I know they work hard. I know they try and do it right. I just don't know what's in it. That's all. But I expect it to be. I expect it to be good.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I understand that you're establishing a hearing examiner.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay, we'll need a motion on order number 8845, please.
A motion to approve order number 8845 as presented.
Do I have a second? All right, any questions on the motion? You got 2 seconds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item number 3 on the agenda is the matter of the application of Chesapeake Utilities Corporation for a general increase in its natural gas rates and for approval of certain other changes to its natural gas tariff. You should have received the application previously. You should have in today's packet a staff memo and proposed order 8848, which would open the docket, set deadlines, and designate a hearing examiner. I believe we have Mr. O'Brien for Chesapeake. Welcome back, Bill.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair and Commissioners. Bill O'Brien on behalf of Chesapeake Utilities Corporation. On the day that you issued the final order in the Artesian Water rate case, you're being asked to issue an opening order for Chesapeake Utilities rate case. On December 21st, we filed a request for an increase to our delivery service rates of roughly 10% of total operating revenues. This initial order, which is 8848, would open the docket, assign a hearing examiner, set the intervention period, direct the company to publish notice of the application and the intervention period, And it would also set interim rates, which would become effective February 19th. Subject to refund would be those interim rates in case the final order does not issue an increase that's at least as much as the interim rates. We would be refunding the difference. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them, but we did review the order, and we do ask you to issue that order.
Thank you. Ms. Oliver, here.
Just presenting the opening docket, I think it has been well covered, what's included in the proposed order.
Thank you very much. Public advocate?
We have no comment at the present time. We've reviewed the order 8848 and are satisfied with its form.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
One question from me. What is the percent increase for the interim rate?
Well, it's different amongst the different rate classes, but it's let's see, I do have Sarah Hardy with me. I don't want to give you a wrong answer.
Depending, Commissioner Gray, depending on the class, it can be anywhere from 2 to 7%. If you look on the order on the public notice portion, you can see the percentages for the various rate classes. And RS2 is probably the most common residential class.
Commissioner, if you look at that bottom, it does give the total or average at about 5%.
You have a the question I have is that yesterday or day before yesterday, in the local newspapers for Dover, I read that Chesapeake Gas is reducing the rates for the customers. Now, when this docket opens up, and if you have to give the refund back, and then now you are reducing the rates under some other arrangement, how will that work for the customers? Because they will be all confused. Here we are increasing the rates by 10%, 10.6, 11%, another 15%, or we are at least discussing in the discussion. And in real life, the rates are being reduced because of the glut in the market and what have you. I'm sure there is some mechanism to explain this to a layman in the state.
Yes, it does get confusing. And for those of you who didn't see the press release or the articles, the gist of that issuance was the November 1st decrease in the gas sales rate, as you said, due to the lower market prices on the wholesale side. What the press release attempted to explain was that decrease is bigger than the requested increase on the delivery service side. That's about as well as we can explain it to most people, but we've certainly provided training to our customer service representatives to be able to answer questions about that press release or about our application here. As you said, Commissioner Correa, that increase that we're asking for on the delivery side is less in total than what we just lowered on the gas side. And then, of course, the interim rates are even lower. But you are correct. That is confusing, and we're doing our best to explain it to people.
Any other questions? Could we have a motion then on order number 8848?
I move to adopt the order number 8848.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, the next thing is director's comments. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any member of the public here who would like to comment? Thank you. Now, Mr. Director, you can comment.
Madam Acting Chair, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to share with you a few items on the agenda. First off, I guess I would like to invite Mr. Jerry Platt to come forward to talk about the propane gas distribution system at the Village of Canterbury, which goes back to the Iacona Summer Chase apartments. If you recall, there were some serious concerns with propane gas leaks in the apartment area.
and we opened, you opened an order on November 3rd requiring Iacona Summer Chase Apartments to have more frequent gas inspections, leak inspections, and you also asked them to look at and within 4 months to move forward with a DPL proposal. They came back in on December 3rd and indicated that they perhaps were going to move forward with a different type of system, a propane system, a new propane system. And I believe you amended the order, and you had an amended order 8813, which amended order 8827, which allowed them to look at the new propane system. So Mr. Platt has been following that, and I would ask him to give you an update on that.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Good afternoon. As Mr. Howard mentioned, on December 3rd, you approved Order 8827, which issued the corrective action order to Iacona Summer Chase Apartments. For short, we'll call them Iacona. And they're the owner and operator of the Village of Canterbury Apartments in Newark, Delaware. And in essence, that CAO allowed Iacona to continue its operation of its current underground propane distribution system at the apartment complex, while the pipeline distribution system was being immediately replaced. And the CAO also called for regular weekly leak surveys of the existing pipeline distribution system and immediate repairs of any leaks found during those leak surveys. In addition, the underground propane storage tank and appurtenances are to be evaluated for their structural integrity. And a target date of 4 months was given to achieve complete replacement, and there was provisions in that for a possible extension if they had some problems come up during the course of construction. And then on December 15th, they filed their plan, which staff reviewed, and they began work immediately. And as Mr. Howard stated, initially there was discussion about converting to natural gas, but in the final plan, they elected to stay with a propane system, which made things a lot faster to get accomplished on their end. It also meant that the distribution system stayed their responsibility to take care of, as opposed to switching to natural gas and transferring that responsibility to Delmarva. So they got started, and immediately they had some problems. The first leak survey was filed on December 7th, and immediately leaks were found. Ultimately, this led to the immediate replacement of 165 feet of pipeline due to those first leaks they found in that first survey. The next leak survey was conducted on December 9th through the 11th, and additional leaks were found in a different section of pipe, and that leak was later repaired with a clamp until the phase replacement of that pipeline occurred. The first leak, the 165 foot of pipeline that was replaced, that just happened to be in phase 1, so it was convenient. They were already working in that area. It was convenient for them to go ahead and replace that pipeline and get that done. Now, in total, there are 34 apartment buildings on this complex, and each apartment is separately metered for propane consumption. Phase 1 of the replacement consists of 10 of those buildings. On January 7th of 16, I visited the site to observe their progress. There at the site, I met with Mark Prada, who's a representative of Iacona, and I met with Bob Shoemate, who works for Construction Unlimited, and that is a firm that was hired to do the pipeline replacement. Mr. Shoemate showed where the first leaks were found and the extent of the repairs. In addition to the repairs, he had one long section of pipeline already in the ground, and while I was there, he had the pressure test in progress. It was being tested at that time. Mr. Shoemate also showed me the record of his qualifications to perform the work. He also pointed out the above-ground temporary propane tanks placed to provide fuel when the replacement pipeline for Phase 1 is completed. And the tanks appeared to be at a proper distance from the nearest structure. Everything appeared to be in good shape at that time. Upon discussing several aspects of the pipeline safety regulations, Mr. Shoemate, in our discussions, appeared to be very knowledgeable and competent to perform the work. I felt very comfortable with him doing the work at that time. Many of the necessary materials were on site for the project, including the polyethylene pipe, the T-fittings, and several temporary tanks. Adequate excavation equipment was present, but Mr. Shoemate indicated that he may use different methods of excavation as the project progressed. In fact, he mentioned the possibility of using a boring machine. If we have many days like this, consecutive days, the surface is going to it will be frozen, and it's going to make working with a backhoe pretty difficult and slow things down. So that's a condition where a boring machine may be useful to speed things up. We also discussed the existing propane tanks and vaporizers. Vaporizers is a piece of equipment that exists to, propane in the tank is stored as a liquid as it comes out as a gas. The vaporizers speed up that process, so on days like this where there's heavy consumption, you're assured of adequate gas flow. He pointed out the existing rectifier, which provides corrosion protection for the underground propane tank, and that had been checked and is working properly. That's just for the tank portion, none of the pipelines. But he stated that prior to finishing the job, he planned on excavating to expose the sides of the tank to confirm the structural integrity of the tank. And he noted that the existing vaporizers are non-functioning. Mr. Prada pointed out that they were non-functioning last year as well. Propane, when it's released from the underground tank into the pipeline system, it will convert from a liquid to a gas where it's usable. On days like this where you have heavy consumption, sometimes it's necessary to have those vaporizers in operation just to make sure that you're able to keep up with the demand. I called a little bit before this meeting, and they're doing fine today without the vaporizers, but it will be good when they are in place. And they have been ordered. They're probably about 3 or 4 weeks away from being on site. And if they do run into a problem, they do have a contingency plan to operate with it before the vaporizers get here. We discussed that as well while I was on the site. We all discussed the previously agreed upon completion date for the project, which is essentially early April 2016. Everyone feels that date can be achieved provided the weather does not produce any significant delays. In that regard, I advised Mr. Prada to keep a log of any weather delays, and he stated that several days had already been lost due to the extended periods of rain that occurred just prior to Christmas. Now, I was there on January 7th. Last week on Thursday, January 14th, I asked our inspector, Ed Robles, to visit the site to continue checking their progress. And it just so happened that the leak survey for that week had just been completed prior to his arrival, and another leak had been found. And the leaking section of pipe had been removed and replaced with a temporary section. And the leaking section was shown to Mr. Robles. There was considerable corrosion and at least one fairly large hole that was documented with photographs. And we have a picture of that pipeline here. You can see just the general corrosion on the pipeline, and that is one large hole. I'm sure that hole did not occur a week prior to it being found. It's been there a long time, but the leak survey just detected it. And it looks like there's a couple other smaller holes in that pipeline as well. So that is a sample of the condition of the pipeline in the ground. And part of the reason I wanted to come here before you guys today was to show you that, because I know it was a tough decision to make, to tell an operator that he had to replace his entire system. And I'm hoping that seeing this confirms in your mind that you did do the right thing, you made the right decision in issuing that corrective action order. Mr. Robles also noted that all the service lines in Phase 1 had been connected to the meters, and that phase was nearly completed. And that's all I have at this time. If there's any questions, I can answer those.
Thank you very much for the update. The pipe that you showed us, was this extracted and positioned for photo, or was this in place?
That was extracted from, that was already removed, and a new piece had been put in its place.
So the overall, you mentioned project completion around early April.
Right, that was the 4 months that we agreed upon as part of the corrective action order.
So if you're sitting here today by percentage completion, what would your estimate be, percent of the total project complete?
Well, there's 34 buildings on the complex. Phase 1 consists of 10 of them. So, and they're nearly done Phase 1. So that will be a little, not approximately a third of the way through.
No further questions. Thank you.
You mentioned the temporary tanks were there.
Yes.
You saw those. Are those temporary and set up, and are they using them right now?
They had a number of temporary tanks on site for the various phases that they are going to need them. For Phase 1, they had, I believe it was 2 in place, set up, ready to be connected. When Mr. Robles was there on Thursday, I don't think they were needing them at that time. But as soon as Phase 1 is complete, yes, those will go into operation.
And you mentioned that aside from the 165-foot replacement, there was another leak and another replacement, and with temporary pipe. When does that get changed to permanent?
That was part of Phase 2, which they'll be completing next.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Platt.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Platt. Appreciate the update. Madam Acting Chair, Commissioners, you also have in the director's comments an item called Commission Review and Approval of the Agreement for Outside Legal Services with Ashby and Geddes, PA. Occasionally, we do get busy here at the Commission offices, and sometimes either for special needs or for when we have a lot of active cases going on, we have historically used outside counsel. Back in April of 2015, we sought to rebid the outside legal counsel contract, and the firm of Ashby and Geddes again submitted a proposal on June 19th of 2015. Since that date in 2015, we have been trying to finalize a contract. You have gotten a copy of that proposed contract and had an opportunity to look at it. I would like to call your attention to at least a couple significant changes to that contract. First, I would like to point out that the contract is significantly shorter than the prior contract. The prior contract was a 3-year contract. This one is intended to be a 2-year contract that actually is probably only going to be a little over 1 year until such time as the new administration comes into play in Delaware. Secondly, I would like to point out that the contract limits the outside counsel work that the firm may do, and it's limited to specific dockets within an attachment on the document. That doesn't mean that we can't get him or his firm to do other legal work, but we would have to go through the state solicitor, Mr. Aaron Goldstein, to coordinate that requirement. What you're seeing here in this contract is more of an attempt to use our in-house legal resources and to rely less on outside counsel. I think that's a place where I have wanted to go since I've been down here. It is somewhat difficult at times when outside counsel or inside counsel rotates through jobs down here. So we would like to try and at least use our inside counsel to handle more of our cases and restrict the outside counsel work to special items and maybe some of the more complex cases. As a result of those changes, I believe we can work within the contract as it's currently laid out. I think we have paths that we can follow if we need additional outside counsel help. And I would ask that you approve my execution of that contract.
Are there any questions?
What are the current rates?
I believe the current rates are the same rates. It might have been, I'm speaking off the top of my head now, but I think it might be $5 more per hour.
I have another question. Yeah, those are for next, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, this is the same. And then, yeah, I didn't know what 2014 was, yeah.
Commissioner?
I like your idea about using the in-house counsel help as much as possible, but I also realize it very, very much that sometimes you have to go outside and get the help to keep things moving. So I 100% concur with you, and I like all the state processes are followed and what have you. So I think you have done a good job on this. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other questions? No. Shall we have a motion to let Mr. Howitt?
A motion to approve the agreement for outside legal services with Ashby and Gaddis.
I second it.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. You'll notice Mr. Geddes left the room.
Yes.
That saved me from having to identify all the distinguished service and everything that he's had here for the commission. So that shortened the commission meeting down a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. Geddes.
I would like to point out that our next commission meeting is on Thursday, February the 4th, at 1 o'clock here.
Thank you. Is there anything else to come before this commission? There being none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very, very much.